floor is yours, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you. Dear members of the European Parliament, dear Prosecutor Ocampo, dear colleagues, sincerely Harinakisner, representatives of the Azerbaijani community in Belgium, I would like to start with thanking the organizers, particularly the Europeans for Artsakh Association, the European Armenian Federation for Justice and Democracy, and Honorable Kostas Mavridis for taking the initiative of this event and going ahead with it despite the complete ethnic cleansing of Armenians in Nagorno Karabakh. Apart from my official capacity as Armenia's Ambassador-designate in Brussels, I am also a member of a family that was ethnically cleansed from its ancestral homeland in Nagorno Karabakh by brutal force in violation of all commitments of all the previous agreements reached so far and basic norms of international law, the International Court of Justice orders and international legal order. It is indeed unexplainable and shocking that despite hundreds of alarms, red flags alerts, and warnings by respectable human rights organizations and international lawyers like Honorable Mr. Ocampo, the ethnic cleansing in Nagorno-Karabakh was indeed conducted by the Aliyev regime and its allies in front of the watchful eyes of the international community, which basically allowed that to happen because since 2020 aggressive war, the business as usual with Baku continued. As nothing has happened, war crimes were not committed, the ICJ had not issued legally binding orders. Every single step Azerbaijani government has taken in Nagorno-Karabakh since 2020 are fully corresponding to the UN-defined 14 factors of atrocity crime. Azerbaijani dictator proudly brags that he has solved the Nagorno-Karabakh issue by the use of brutal force, intentionally violating the core principles of the international law and international legal order. And he doesn't care about any calls and statements from the outside. He even calls the resolutions adopted in this very house as useless sheets of paper, end quote. Well, might be he overconfident. He might be overconfident like other dictators, and our task is to use all possible legal means in our toolbox to hold the Aliyev regime accountable for the ethnic cleansing and grave war crimes. Many are of the opinion that Aliyev is like Hitler or Ceausescu and should end up like the one of them. However, I am more for the justice to prevail, as I am convinced that peace can be achieved only via justice. It is high time to end the business as usual with the authoritarian regime of Aliyev, and if business as usual is to be continued with Azerbaijan, then they will undoubtedly continue further aggression against Armenia. The Aliyev regime should pay the price for everything, and the individual sanctions should be imposed. If crimes remain unpunished, they are doomed to be repeated again. I am convinced that European Parliament is best placed to end this vicious cycle of business as usual with autocratic regime in Azerbaijan by imposing individual sanctions, of course within its own competences. Tomorrow, the Azerbaijani dictator is going to parade in ethnically cleansed Stepanakert. Remember other fascist dictators parading in other occupied capitals and cities. Nevertheless, this parade must motivate us to work harder to ensure the rights of indigenous Armenian population to return and live in peace and dignity under international guarantees and international presence in order to show that democratic values prevail and they are not just mere words. This is why the government of Armenia is determined to pursue the full restoration of the rights of Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh via international legal means. Recent ratification by the Armenian Parliament of the Rome Statute, ongoing proceedings at the International Court of Justice should be regarded first and foremost in this context. Despite all security challenges and existential threats that Armenia is facing now, our determination towards peace is unbreakable. We are committed to the peace agenda, and the recently presented project, Crossroads of Peace, is a true testimony of it. And in this, we need European commitment and determination to support peace and Armenia's democratic path. Recently, the international community failed to ensure the responsibility to protect, which enabled the ethnic cleansing of Nagorno-Karabakh Armenians. Thus, the same international community has responsibility to ensure that the Armenian people Armenian people live in their homes in dignity, and the sovereignty as well as the territorial integrity of Armenia are not threatened. Only this way the true peace can be achieved. I thank you for your attention.